Welcome to 3 Steps. It's the fourth and final part of the Josh LeGassick interview. If you missed the first one, or the second one, or the bonus footage, go right here. And today, the final piece. Now, Josh LeGassick is a corporate businessman. He's been in the tech world for quite some time, and he's helped 3 startups, and he just helped one go public after being invested in it for 12 years. Currently, he's in Vegas here, looking for a new project. So, this one, the 3 steps, the advice, the juicy stuff, it goes deep. Like, he gives you a couple of pieces really quickly, but then the third one, oh my God, we go into a deep dive, and the waters are definitely deep. So, enjoy the interview, and I will see you on the other side. If you could give 3 pieces of advice to your younger version of yourself, magically go back in time, 3 pieces of advice to either be more successful or more confident or to thrive more on the planet.
Yeah.
What 3 things would you tell that younger version of yourself?
Practice failure. Create mental toughness.
Mental toughness.
But not as an enemy of anything.
Yeah.
As a way to be ready to deal with life's failures as part of the game of life. Yeah. Versus because failure sounds negative, right? You failed a test. It's got F on it. You know the F is for fail.
Yeah.
I don't want, yes, that's true. If you fail that way, you also got to get back up off the floor and take the test again, right?
Right.
But I mean it more in life. As a kid, that's how you grow up thinking about it. But then when you're an adult, a man, a parent, life has a business person, so many other failures all the time, and then you have to examine yourself.
Yeah.
And then, who am I that this happened? You know, or why did I do that? Why didn't I do that?
Right.
My reaction was this way, not that way. So that's one thing, is to create some kind of mental toughness, and I think it comes from dealing with failure.
Yeah.
Not as a negative, but as a challenge or something, as part of the game of life. Something I said earlier that I believe in, which is that to be yourself and to trust yourself.
Yeah.
So in order to be yourself, you have to create who are you going to be.
Right.
And that could be who you've always been.
Yeah.
It could be being an Olympic swimmer. And as a kid, you're always swimming, and then you're an Olympic swimmer. But guess what? At some point, you're no longer
a
swimmer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or a football player. And usually that age is somewhere between 20 and 30.
Yeah.
And you got to go get another job normally.
Create a new identity.
You got to create a new identity. You got to something else, right?
Yeah.
You don't just go home and sit on the couch all day with an Olympic medal and do nothing.
Yeah.
Or as a football player, you go talk. You do some appearances. Even that circuit ends 4 years later.
Right.
Nobody remembers you anymore. You got to, right? So you have to create yourself, whether you do it when you're 6 and your passion is peace on the planet Earth, or when you do it when you're 20 and you graduate from college and you're like, this is who I'm going to be. I'm going to be the CEO of this, or I'm going to be a farmer. Doesn't matter what it is. But you have to create yourself. Create yourself, then you get to be yourself. And I think part of being yourself is allowing yourself to be okay with who you are, and allowing yourself to be yourself, because nobody's perfect. So there's dirt under everybody's clothes and fingernails, There's
messy humans.
There's bad, there's bad, parts of your personality or attitude or your behaviors or whatever.
Yeah.
Your reactions in life. And I think you have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
You have to be okay with everything isn't going to be perfect all the time, or what you want all the time. Maybe sounds too philosophical to tell your younger self, but
I don't know.
But it's something that I find I'm dealing with and always have been, and I think, I don't know if everybody else is, but one of the things I would tell myself is to always be dealing with who am I? It's not necessarily the same as creating who you are, but it's something else of an inquiry or an introspective about, who am I and what am I about? I like being in this inquiry in life, this existential question of who am I?
Yeah.
Not am I on a mission to fix everything in life, but I think there's some kind of internal, maybe not emotional growth, but some kind of intellectual, philosophical growth. Because when you're asking, I think if you're asking that question, who am I, you're going to ask other people who they are. Oh, and I think you create a different connection with people when you ask who they are, not what do they do. Another way to ask it is, what is your passion? What are you passionate about in life? But let's be honest, not everybody has a passion either.
Yeah.
Some people work at the coffee shop, and maybe they love listening to music, but they wouldn't say music's their passion. That's just one of the things they enjoy in life.
Yeah.
So I don't think everybody comes out of the womb, or even when you create your life, you can't create being passionate, but it kind of comes sometimes and goes sometimes for me. And it's definitely different than people who they always knew what they wanted in life and they're passionate about that. One thing, with that one thing. Yeah, I didn't come out of the womb having that thing.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why I care so much about creating who you are and being in this inquiry.
Yeah.
But if somebody is passionate about it, they certainly know that too. So it still has it's a conversation to talk about with people. So it makes them interesting.
So who am I is the inquiry in yourself. So so how do you explore that? What are you doing currently to explore that for yourself? Or how have you been exploring that?
One of the ways that I do it is make lists.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like lists, and I think it goes back to having chores and checking things off. But what do I really care about? Here's a list. I keep these things and I look at them. What are the pros and cons of being married?
Yeah.
So it's like day-to-day human choice types of things. It's not Heidegger philosophy writing or anything like that.
Right.
However, I will say I studied Heidegger in college, and I've studied ontology, not psychology per se.
Yeah.
So I've studied, what is it to be a human being? And I found that to be a deep connection to that.
Yeah.
I loved studying existential philosophy, the kinds of writing. When I walk into your house, I look at your bookshelf, and I'm always surprised. And until it happens, I remember, it's always like this. How many books we all read that are the same?
Yeah.
And how much of a connection it is that we all read J.R. Tolkien as kids. You know what I mean? Or that everybody, my kids' age and us adults too, all read Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And I know it was like a fad, but there's fiction and politics and whatever, philosophy in it.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of what I read kind of in the literature world in college was around existential types of writers and philosophy. So I certainly read everything else too, and religious everything.
Yeah.
So for me, that kind of an inquiry is, I don't know, it's part of being human to me. And I don't know if it has to be that way for everybody. I'm not saying that's part of success. For other people, their faith is the inquiry.
Yeah.
Right? And so it wouldn't be quite the same probably, but it's similar. It's still an inquiry about something that is somehow inside of us, but outside of us at the same time. Who am I?
Yeah.
Not necessarily what am I doing here? Like, that's not the question I'm trying to answer. Part of the way that I explore it is reading what modern and mostly modern types of philosophy. Sometimes that gets into the science fiction. Like, I find a lot of science fiction writing to be philosophical in nature. Those writers are like that.
Yeah. Asimov's a good one, a good example of that. Yeah, totally.
I think that, anyone you name probably is a good example of that to me. You can investigate those discussions with people.
Yeah.
In your community.
Yeah.
And I learned to do that probably like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Before that, I didn't. So I learned shocking things about myself when I went out and asked, like, who am I for you? And, things that were way not better than I expected them to be. Like, people are either nice to me or they really do see positive things about me, and I see things to work on internally, right? But like asking people who you are and what are you passionate about, and having those kinds of discussions.
Right.
Even doing this interview, I learn about myself by talking to you and you asking me questions, but I also learn about myself by asking you questions.
Right. Yeah.
And hearing what you said about Thrive, and how deep do I get with thinking about that?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And and everything I'm thinking, okay, what am I doing in life? Am I doing this that way? Am I doing this that way? You know? And that's why I like to make lists, because I can check off if I did or didn't do it.
Right.
If I am or am not being that today or this year or this week. Talking about it is a different level of that expression, and writing it down and making lists of what you like and don't like and who you're going to be next year. Those are different expressions of it, but you also have to think about it.
Yeah. So meditation?
No, I don't. I definitely wouldn't say I meditate. Mm-hmm. I would say I think about it in everyday moments. It's more like I'm walking into the 7-Eleven. How am I treating this person?
Oh, yeah. Huh.
is it only about me going in and out of the 7-Eleven or not?
Yeah.
You know, or, okay, yes, there are people there. This person's going to interact with me. I'm going to see them at the 7-Eleven I go to every time I see them. And it's almost like examining my thoughts. Is there, like, sometimes you're just having thoughts. I'm not making them happen.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of examining that. What keeps running in my mind?
Yeah.
You know, am I happy with that?
Oh, yeah.
What is controlling that? The more and more I think about it, like one of my favorite movie lines and expressions to relate life back to is Rosebud.
Rosebud. Oh, Rosebud.
Yeah, and so when I watched, I think it was Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
And it was the name of the sled.
Yeah.
At the very end.
Yeah.
And at that age, when I saw it, probably 12 or whatever, I saw it in high school. It's like one of those things you watch, one of those kinds of movies you watch is education. You write a book report on it, and you read the book and stuff. At the time, I didn't get it at all. Just like, what a wonderful life. Like it's a wonderful life. I didn't fully get the meaning of the story. The story. Even though I wrote a report about it. But as I get older, I think like everything comes from your childhood.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think at a certain age, like maybe 20 and 30, I kind of thought like that was negative. Like, why does it have to all come from your childhood?
Yeah.
I mean, that is maybe why we have to create as adults, because otherwise you're just going to be a grown-up child. Right?
Yeah.
In your tantrums and your positive things too. Mm-hmm. But the older I get, like when I'm saying like examine your everyday thoughts, like where did that come from? It's like, to me, it all seems to come from being like 3 to 5, like before 5. And there's certainly decisions and choices you make when you're 9 and 12 and things that we all remember real specifically, whether it really happened that way or not.
Right.
We have the story that we've told forever, you know? But it's like, where did that come from?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
It's cool to examine them. And this is actually a really fun interview because of the fact that you've gone down these rabbit holes, because not everyone does go down these rabbit holes. And you are speaking to, like, my inner nerd and my inner geek right now is just like, I'm trying to like just be quiet, let you talk. Here's the thing, it's like, I put a lot of time and energy into this next thing you're talking about, like paying attention to my thoughts, paying attention to like, where is it coming from? And like all that kind of stuff. And because I took the time to do those things, I was able to grab my life by the wheel, grab it by the steering wheel and like actually change the direction of how I was going, the track that I was on. And it for me, it helped me see that you can be more than your ancestry. You can be more than your social environment. You could be more than the sum of the people around you.
What they say about you.
What they say about you, right? And so like my favorite game, and I've played this with you, is Who Am I to You?
Yeah.
So it's like to hear you talk about like that you were doing that 15 years ago, it's like, yes, this is valuable.
Yeah.
This is so valuable for you guys. I mean, oh man, because like if I had gotten this information in my teens, for fuck's sake, oh man, like the quality human I would be now would be night and day different. Not that I'm not happy with my life and the way it turned out. I did all my bumps and bruises, and they all helped mold me who I am. And if I can give shortcuts to other guys, this is the way to do it. Yeah.
May just end cap on that a little bit.
Yeah, totally.
The esoteric thinking is all great. At the end of the day, you still have to put these things into life, in action. You know, is it red? Is it green? I don't know. Does it matter? But what am I doing about that? You know, so there still has to be action in the human inquiry, not just inquiry like plugged into the matrix.
Right.
You know, you can't just be plugged in and talking about it all the time and not doing, like you were calling it walking your walk, walking your talk.
Yeah.
I call it being yourself, or having, your integrity to be who you say you are, kind of language.
Yeah.
And what I also find is that that's a common conversation around people around me. But it's also something I talk about.
Right.
When I'm with, like this, or in a group of people who are trying to have an open inquiry like that. But what I really am happily, pleasantly surprised by is when you meet a stranger and you have this conversation, it changes something for them.
Oh, yeah.
Like they're having the same thoughts. They just they don't know who to talk to about it a lot of the times.
Yeah.
You know, it's not about education level or socioeconomic status.
No.
It's like, yeah, we all get stuck in our ruts and things, and you know, things aren't going away for times. And then somebody asks you like, what is your passion?
Yeah.
Or who am I for you?
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, and all of a sudden you're having a different, I want to say quality of conversation, but I don't necessarily know if it's better or worse. But if you're not having conversations like that, if you're not having some actions where you're trying to make that difference or be yourself, then you know, the value isn't in the inside thoughts. The value is on somehow the expression of that outside. So
yeah. That's great advice to give to your younger self. Fuck yeah. It's really good.
Yeah, thanks for opening this can of worms and all these.
Fuck yeah, man. This has been a great conversation, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for watching. So what'd you think? Interesting stuff. Deep dive. I mean, did you have you thought about that kind of stuff before? What are your thoughts? Leave a comment down below. I would love to get in conversation with you about this stuff. Subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications, and we will see you on Monday.